I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, the podcast for all things neurodivergence. I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist and professional speaker, and I'm happy to be your host through the wild trails of the neurodivergent world.
And I'm Jake Noonan, educational coach and humanities teacher, your co-host and producer, and I'm thrilled to help share the stories and the experiences of wonderful people in the world of neurodiversity.
We're really excited for today's guest, which we are going to say a lot because we're always really excited about every guest we get. So let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist, professional speaker, published author, podcast host, craft beer enthusiast, many other things. With me, as always, is the Turk to my JD, Mr. Jake Noonan. Say hi, Jake.
Hey everybody, great to be here again, as always. And I'm so glad that it's another Turk and JD one today.
Yeah. Well, you were just saying the other day that Jack had never seen Scrubs. So I was like, I have to bring this one back.
Yeah, we just finished the 8th season, and we're taking a break before the 9th one.
Eagle!
Such a perfect show.
Good vibes in this episode. I'm feeling good. We got the band back together. Oh my gosh. Well, we have an awesome guest today, and Mandy, I would love it if you could introduce yourself, tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm a fellow neurodiversity nerd, so I'm happy to be here. So my name is Mandi Skerbetz. Where do you begin? Back in the 1900s. No, so I have been in special education and emotional behavioral disabilities world for 23 plus years, depending on how you look at it. I have been a special education teacher and a gifted teacher in public ed, charter ed, private ed. I got my doctorate and thought I wanted to be, a researcher and a professor. So we did that route for a while and decided I missed the kids and the families. And so I've done a lot around supporting students. I've had a private practice with educational therapy, providing support to students. And the students that tend to find me and I find them are students that are definitely the neurodiverse, but yet highly intelligent students. So that's kind of the population I'm really passionate about. I'm really, really passionate about the ASD students that are also incredibly intelligent and tell me new fun facts every day that, one day I'll get on Jeopardy and know really random things that nobody else knows. But yeah, so just through my career, I've worked obviously with families, and it's always been a struggle to really find it sounds horrible, but what to do with these students. Didn't really fit in special education, but needed social, emotional, executive functioning, kind of all of those supports, but then needed gifted My experience, this is not everywhere, but my experience is typically special ed and gifted didn't always mesh well together. If they needed an IEP, well, then why are they in gifted and back and forth? And so it was always a ton of advocacy, a ton of fighting that parents shouldn't have to fight, but a lot of fighting, to be totally honest. But it still was never fit. I mean, even if it was a perfect situation and the special ed teacher and the gifted teacher worked beautifully together and everybody, it was this like picturesque movie, it still wasn't a perfect fit. So over the years, that's kind of always been a nagging piece in the back of my head, and just kind of in my career and even in my personal life. And so I met at my former place of employment an amazing woman, Jessica Rawl. True story. We were in her pool last September, August, September, and we're just kind of complaining about the state of education and it's just getting worse and then she herself has a 2E student. So we were like, there should be a school. Why isn't there a school? Like I'm in Dallas right now. I am not from Dallas. I am from the East Coast, clearly, as you can tell from my accent. Dallas has hundreds of private schools. Why isn't there one that actually meets kind of this 2E kid, this kid that needs high academics, needs rigorous, but needs so much else? And so we kind of looked at each other. We were like, we should start a school. And did it, I don't know. I don't know if either of us thought we were serious. And then I actually had to go to Oxford for another gig that I do. And I came back and we talked and she was like, let's pinky swear, let's do this. And I was like, what do we do? Google like how to open a school? I have no idea. And so we did it. We're on a pinky swear. Part of the pinky swear is I am now in Dallas for at least 10 years. But yeah, so we are opening the Sage School of Dallas. Our first day of school will be August 12th. And we're opening with 6th through 9th graders. I get to fulfill my passion around 2E students, which she has as well. But my even like, oh my, like the part that I'm like giddy about, like, I can't believe I get this chance is I'm changing the education model. I'm doing it how not just I think, but our advisory board, people like Dr. Matt, other amazing, highly, accoladed professionals, research shows. So we're not going to be memorizing the Gettysburg Address. We're not going to be taking, ABCD quizzes and things like that. Super, super true project based. So when I say project based, I'm not using the buzzword. We're not doing posters and panoramas. We're truly doing deep dive, inquiry based learning and everything really going to generalization for adulthood and their future. I'm a talker, so I'm sure I've said way too much, but yeah, that's why I'm here to kind of spread that message. I've met so many people in such a short amount of time that are like, oh my God, yes. The research I've done, there's only about 11 other schools in the US and they're all on the coasts. So they're on the East Coast and the West Coast. There's really nothing in the middle of the country. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing it. I literally Googled how to start a school and we're doing it. We're following all the rules and the laws and the accreditations and we've got the students and the staff and we are just moving and grooving. So that's probably more than you wanted to know, but I can fill in any blank.
There is no upper limit to what we want to know. There's like the limit does not exist. Full Mean Girls right now. Jake and I met at a school for gifted kids that had just started. So we are uniquely qualified to comment on what it's like to start a school for gifted and 2E kids. I hope you have lots of wine in the fridge. It's going to be a journey, but it's like when you're little, you're like, we should start a band. We should start a band. And when you're in college, it's like, we should open a bar. We should totally open a bar. Our bar would not suck because our bar would be awesome. And then you go into the education field and you're like, we should start a school. But you did it. You literally did. There's a place now that did not exist a year ago because you guys made it happen. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah.
I have a weird question for you, but have you taken the time to like celebrate that for yourself?
No, we're not there yet. We're still like the furniture, this needs done and this needs like it's still in that like, yeah. I'm like finishing the medical forms when we're off this call. So I mean, there has been times for sure. I mean, given the time span, so I will give away. So I was part of a group, a founding group that did start a charter school system in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I've been there in the beginning of starting a school. However, it wasn't my responsibility. Like I was the special education gifted teacher. I just had to make sure that piece worked, right? And so, we've learned so many things that I think Jessica and we have a third co-founder, Kristen, that we just never wanted to know, but now we know. I know a lot about permits. I know about storm shelters. I just know things that I didn't ever want to know. But there was a time like we literally truly did not start this till October. So, and speaking to like all of my East Coast friends, right? So I've worked in Detroit, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Like I've kind of stayed in that, I don't know, that area, if you will. They're like, what do you mean you're starting in August? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you just told us about it. I was like, well, we just started it. They're like, it would take, 3 to 4 years on the East Coast. But luckily in the Wild Wild West of Texas, there are very little roles. So we're running with it. So we have a couple times stepped back and been like, we just started in October. How are we here? Like what has happened? I obviously am the kid, but like I thrive off of students. Like my bucket being filled is on like that time with students. And I love my private practice kids and all of that. But like I literally right now I'm staring at a calendar where August 12th is like obnoxiously highlighted because I just want to be in the school with the kids and I want the ridiculous to start. Like
Oh man, we're gonna play that clip back to you in
I know.
in September. Well, Mandy, you said that
You
you wanted the
said,
ridiculous to start. You're like, I didn't think it would be this much ridiculousness. It's too much
yeah.
ridiculousness.
Yeah, I don't know what my trauma type or my ADHD type is, but like I thrive in crisis. So I need that, like I need the kids telling me crazy crazy things.
And it's like it's the best kind of crazy,
Oh,
right? Like
it's
because
amazing.
to build something, to make something, it's protean. I mean, it takes a certain amount of madness to be like, I can do this thing. I mean, it's much easier to slap a clock radio on something, right? So like, okay, like, oh, we painted the car a different color now. We're done. Versus like, let's build something new, which is why, I was so happy that we connected because within 3 minutes of talking to you, it was like, oh no, you're a true believer, you get it. Because there's a lot of people out there right now who are slapping the word gifted on something and calling it a day, right? Like we're not in the decal business here.
No.
We're in the foundation business here.
And that is something that's really important to us with our mission and with everything is really sticking to our profile of student. We obviously are very open to any and all neurodiversities, if you will, like, but at the same time, we very much are sticking to the type of students that we really believe will work in this model. And for better or worse, I think a lot of, well, public schools have to be everything for everyone. And I think that's an issue in and of itself. I'm super pro public, but I think it just obviously needs some help. But again, I've never seen a private school world like Dallas has. And I think a lot of them try to be everything for everyone and they're not really great at anything. And I don't mean that in an ugly way, but like truly like they're trying to be everything and you can't be, like it's just not realistic. So it's more than a mission. It truly is. We are sticking to our students. We're sticking with like we're fully staffed because our faculty wants to do things differently. They want to kind of blow up traditional education and they happen to love our gifted 2E neurodiverse students. So those are the great positives that I think about when the fire lane permit doesn't come through. But yeah, it's been great. Like, and we've met, we interview the students and meet the students before like they like, sign the check, if you will. And one of the students, it was one of my favorite comments so far. It's such a 2E comment. He's like, well, I think in 2 to 3 decades, this is going to be a world-renowned school. And I was like, well, I don't need to be world renowned. I'd like to just be a great school. And I don't know that I can make it 2 to 3 decades, but okay, great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Texas might fall into the sea by that point. Who even knows, right?
So yeah. And it's great. So that's really what we're doing. Kind of going back to I was saying this a little bit. So Jessica, my counterpart, she talks a lot about for her 2E son, she always had to pick between high academics. So either a public school that had AP and dual enrollment and all those things, or a private school that kind of had the same thing, or an LD school that was loving and kind of had the social emotional with smaller class sizes and that type of thing, but he wasn't getting what he needed, like in both realms. She chose, the LD side of things, and it's worked out great. He's amazing. He's in college, like setting the world on fire. But wouldn't it be great to like drop off your kid and know that they're getting the high academics, they're getting direct instruction and social, emotional, all of that, whatever they need with character ed, that they're getting true executive functioning coaching. It's not like, here's a planner, go do your executive functioning, like, bye-bye, have fun. This is always one of my favorites when I walk into a classroom and they're like, well, we put the homework on the board for them to copy. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
I'm always like, okay, great. So truly each kid will have an executive functioning coach that they work with to find what works for them, because we're also in a different world. We're in a different generation. Most of the students I work with don't want to use paper and pencil. Some do, and some like it, and that's awesome. But that's even been a learning curve. I've had to, work with parents that are like, he won't write in his planner. And I'm like, he has everything in his phone. Like he has shown me, he has timers going on. Like, don't worry about the paper planner. Like he has a different way, and that's okay. I'm trying to think. There's so many things to tell you. My favorite part is like one day a week on Wednesdays. We've decided it's Wednesdays, usually Monday and Fridays, right? You miss a lot of days. So Wednesdays is going to be our inquiry-based day. And the entire day is based on questions that the students, the parents, community members, anybody can basically submit, and we do deep dives into. And I have a horrible example. I think I already gave this one to you, Matt, but it's horrible, but it works so well that I can't come up with a better one. So why are there so many potholes in Dallas? Well, okay, let's figure it out. Let's go into the geology, the geomorphology. Let's go into what chemicals do they put on the roads? What chemicals go into blacktop? Let's go to a blacktop where they make blacktop. Let's figure it out. What new technologies are out there? Okay, you propose that this is a new technology. Well, what is the square mileage of Dallas? How much would that cost? Now you have to do the math, obviously, but then now you have to put together a proposal for the city council, take it to them, and you're going to have to propose a tax increase. So you're going to have to come up with a persuasive presentation for your taxpayers. It's real life, which we know are very concrete students need. I mean, it's things I think about every day as I'm like, when am I going to need a new tire because I've hit another pothole? And it's hitting, it's truly hitting math, a little bit of civics, it's hitting science, it's hitting writing, it's hitting, communications, it's hitting so many things. And it's in an authentic way. And then the other part of our Wednesdays, so our Wednesdays, we're not doing periods either, so that doesn't even matter, but there's no blocks of time. We're also having artists in residence. So instead of having an art teacher, a music teacher, I'm looking in the back at Jake, like, do you play guitar and you want to come and do like a music, how the guitar was built and made, and us make fake guitars out of, I don't know, cereal boxes and play Stairway to Heaven for you, whatever you want, we'll do. So really authentic, true experiences is one of our big things, because it goes along with, I didn't bring this up, we want our students to be authentic. So this is one thing that is really important to us as well, is if you're in the business, or if you think, Jake, please put this out there. If you want to drop your student off and you think they're going to be quote unquote fixed, we're not in the game. That's not us. We want to celebrate. We want to be like, yes, and that's why you're amazing. Yes, that's why we love you so much. We want our students to come and be their authentic selves, because for most of them, they've been in situations where they've either just totally crumbled and they're in mental health crisis with anxiety and depression and all kinds of other things, or they've been masking so hard that we want it to be a place where you be you. I have a new test for when you're doing your evaluations, Dr. Matt, and it's about flags, because almost like half of the students are obsessed with flags and have requested a flag club, to which we are having, of course. But that's my new, like, are you obsessed with flags? Okay. ASD, you got it. Check.
Yep.
And we're doing a lot around the students. That's been a big part of it. Like, I've gone to lunch with students. I've been meeting with students. Like, what clubs do you want? What electives? So not only academically is it individualized, like right now we have a 7th grader that's taking calculus. We'll be taking calculus. So we're meeting them academically where they are, but at the same time, we don't want to force them into, oh, you're forced into playing soccer, or you're forced into art club or something. I mean, if they want art, but like, we want it to be things they want, which right now are flag club. You can guess them: chess, Dungeons and Dragons, calligraphy club, knitting club. So we do have a pickleball. There's 2 kids that want to get into pickleball, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. I'm here for it. There's an archery place right next to our school, and so they want to do archery, and I'm like, oh, let's do it. Okay, that sounds great. So it's not just about kind of the programming and what we're doing. It's also about the student knowing that they can come and they can be Matt, they can be Jake, they can be Mandy. They don't have to be what others think neurotypical students are. And I don't know how to say that in a nicer way. But yeah. So that's my dream. My dream is like they come. I mean, again, this isn't, but they come and they're happy to be them. That's kind of where we are.
Authentic learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. How wild is it that it's revolutionary that a school would want a kid to be happy to be who they are?
It's sad.
There's something really special about saying, like, that's the space we're creating. We're leading with that ethos, right? Like, be you and we'll figure out the rest of it later. Like, the cool thing is, to amplify your points, like, by the time kids get to us in this neurodivergent space, they have a lot of practice not being them, right? The world does not tell us to be us. It doesn't amplify or support that. So when you're like, hey, this space is for you to be you, and then whether we're going to talk about vexillology, the study of flags, just saying.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I need to know that term. Thank you. I needed to know that term.
Second flag club I've heard of.
Yeah, I was like, Jake, were we not part of the flag club? Yeah. I feel like we were part of the flag club.
That's why I learned the word vexillology.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to tell the students that, because they'll be like, yes, and I'll be like, I didn't. I totally cheated.
And you can tell them there's only one U.S. state that doesn't have a rectangular flag.
Oh.
Now you got to tell us.
Now I know. Now you have to tell us.
Yeah, it's Ohio.
Oh.
Ohio has a trapezoidal flag.
Oh.
Interesting.
And there is only one international flag, to the best of my knowledge, that is not a rectangle, and that's Nepal.
Okay.
Now, as soon as we post this, the comments are just going to explode. It's like, technically speaking, it's like,
yeah, flags are not my thing. So I'm like, yep,
Oh my gosh. Jake, I thought for a second I was going to lose you when she was like, "You come down and do your." I was like, "Oh no!"
Do you want an archery teacher? Do you want a bass player? Do you want a drummer? Do you want a production person?
Hey, everything's virtual now, so we can figure it out.
Bye, Matt.
You can't have Jake, Mandy. I
I
called
won't
dibs.
steal him. I won't steal
You
him.
started a school with a pinky promise. I called dibs. These are equally legally valid
Yes,
contracts.
they are legally bounding. Those are the levels that we are working with are dibs and pinky swears and yes.
I mean, with the population, it is legally binding.
Legally binding. Like,
But yeah, it's something again like that's so needed, but it's been so needed and it's just not been talked about. And I just don't think the verbiage was there, and I don't think the education was there. I still think there's a huge way to go. Again, I don't know about different regions of the US. We've had to do a lot of explaining of like 2E and twice exceptional. But as soon as you say it, they're like, oh yeah. And of course they're like Sheldon, Big Bet, like, like that's what like they go to. But it's funny. I mean, I think I told you this before, Matt, but I'll say it on the podcast. One of my first jobs, it was in Pittsburgh, and I'm young. I'm like 21. I'm gonna take the world on. And I emotional and behavioral. I mean, that's my doctorate. That's my world. So I was hired as emotional behavioral teacher in middle school because who else was going to do it? And I wanted to do it. And they said, well, because you have your special education cert, you're also going to have 2 periods a day or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but of gifted. And I was like, okay, cool, like whatever. And as I would talk to people, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I bet teaching gifted so hard. They're so smart. And I was like, no, that's not the hard part. They have more emotional and behavioral things than my emotional behavioral kids. Like I'm using more of my behavior background and my like behavioral techniques with my gifted students than I even really am with my students that, are segregated into the emotional behavioral room. So, that's always kind of stuck with me. And those students now, of course, are like 30 and have kids of their own. But it's always kind of been interesting. And then like even looking back on my own, like I've talked a lot with my mom. I have severe ADHD, if you can't tell.
The best people do, let's be honest.
Yeah. But I wasn't diagnosed until I was in college and like totally falling apart, having panic attacks, being like, what is wrong with me? I've always had straight A's. I've always, da 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 da. And it's just interesting looking back again, I grew up in the 80s. Like it was just go do your thing and just like all of us, like but at the same time, I honestly think that experience, my experience not knowing I was experiencing it, led me to really love emotional and behavioral. And like, I'm sure, Matt, you've had crazier stories than me, but we could definitely share some stories. But I love them. And it's kind of like that kind of goes into the 2E kids because it's both sides. That was the only thing. So it's so sweet. My grandfather, when we first said this, he goes, well, it's a nonprofit, right? And I said, yeah. And he's like 96 at this time. I mean, he was super old. He goes, I want to donate. And I was like, okay, great. Like, sure. And he goes, but I don't understand if they're really smart, why can't they just go to normal school? And I said, well, because they're really smart, but there's other things. And he was the only person that just didn't get it, but he wrote me $1,000 check. So I was like, okay, whatever.
It's trying.
But again, it was like there was too big of an age gap to spend time figuring that out. Otherwise, I mean, it's amazing talking to the families and the parents because we do a parent interview and we do a student interview and like, families are crying like, or like, I've never had to, I don't have to explain to you, my daughter, you just know. And it's like, yeah, like this all makes sense. Like, Or like, hey, I don't get it. My kid has 147 IQ, but he's failing eighth grade. He refuses to do anything. And I'm like, well, what does he do? Like, tell me about it. Like, talk, like, and then I talk to the kid and he's like, well, like, I know all the math. I do it in my head and I give them the answer, but they give me zeros because I don't show the work. Or, well, they have us reading and doing the same vocabulary over and over. And I knew that vocabulary in fifth grade. And so I'm like, switching the vocabulary terms. And so I get zeros, or the executive functioning comes in. Well, I just don't turn it in. Like, fair. Okay. Understand why that's that. And a lot of the parents are like, please look at their psycho ed because their report cards are horrendous. And we're like, we don't even look at the report cards. Like, grades don't matter to us. Like, we just need to know, where are the peaks, where are the valleys, like, what are we looking at in terms of, again, we want to meet them where they are. So if they are through the roof in math, we want to make sure we have the math. If they're through the roof in whatever. But we also have said to parents, we're in the business of coaching them. We're not in the business of making them or pushing them into things they're not ready for, is basically kind of how I've explained it. Again, like a seventh grader that is ready for calculus academically, but social emotionally is not there. They don't want it. I'm not going to push it. It's not going to be a, you have to do this. We can look at a ton of other math options for a seventh grader, obviously. He's already gone through algebra twos and all those things, but we can get into statistics. We can get into financial literacy. We can get into different things if they just want to break or something like that. So that's kind of what we're doing. And so we have full-time staff, and then we're using contractors because we know that we are not at some of the levels that the students are at. Some of them are high-end tutors that were teachers that, got disenfranchised, blah, 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 that are coming back, and they'll do some of the higher level things. And then some of them they actually are engineers and things, and they're excited to, like, they definitely were a 2E kid that like didn't get everything. And so they want to give back. Right. So they're like, I want to do a workshop in sound producing. And I'm like, sounds great. Like, let's do it. Or the other thing is, college students are really into it. I met a kid yesterday that I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, I want to talk to you for hours. And he's like, a freshman in college, but he just, again, had been on the journey. And unfortunately, his parents didn't understand it and push, 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 push. And so he's now at Columbia. I mean, very openly, has had to receive a lot of mental health support to kind of make that transition, because he had to be kind of perfect before and didn't really, once he got to college, kind of was like, what do I do now? Like, nobody's telling me how to do this. But I should definitely throw this out there. I'll always stick with the school. I'm a teacher. There's no way around it. Like, yes, I might have my doctorate and I may do other things here and there, but at the end of the day, like, my heart, I'm a teacher. That's what I am. But Jessica and Kristen, the other two co-founders, their next goal, once the school's up and running and everything's going, is by the time our ninth graders are in 11th grade, we'll have the Sage Center. I think Jessica talked to you about this a little bit, Matt.
Yeah.
But we've really had like, we did not expect. There's a lot of things we did not expect. We were like, where is this coming from? But companies in Dallas that really want to hire neurodiverse students, but they don't know how. They don't know how to interview them. They don't know, once they hire them, they don't know how to kind of set up the environment to some level. And then they don't know how to, they don't want to break any HR laws. And they, the same old, the thing that when I was a special ed teacher, I don't know, you might want to cut this out. It's up to you guys. But I wanted to tattoo on my butt. I used to say this like after every IEP meeting or something. Fair does not mean equal. Those two words are not synonyms, but yet everybody thinks they are synonyms and they are not. And it used to put me over the edge. So that was going to be the first tattoo I got. I never got a tattoo, but maybe one day.
Yet.
I still have time.
Of course, my question is like, why your butt? Why not your forearm?
Okay, well, yeah, just put it across my
No one's
face.
going to see it. I mean,
It is kind of wordy too.
yeah, four score and 7 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, some companies that are here, large companies that everybody would know about, really want to work. So they really want to start what they're going to call the Sage Center, and it'll be around workforce development, college development. Like we're absolutely college prep, but we also are not going to be one of those schools that are like, oh, you don't want to go to college? Like, no. If you don't want to go to college, great. Let's figure out what you want to do, because you sitting on your mom's couch isn't an option. So that's going to be a little bit later down the road. That's where Jessica's passion and Kristen's passion are. I mean, obviously they're passionate about the school, don't get me wrong, but they very much are around that. Like we keep saying, we want to graduate humans. Obviously, so many of the big private schools are like, we want to graduate college ready students. Yes, we want to do that, but we also know realistically, no matter what we do and how well we teach executive functioning and we teach social emotional, our kids don't generalize great. They're not great at it. So when they go to college, we don't want them to think they can't call us or Zoom in and say, okay, let's look at this syllabus, and having people on staff to say, hey, you were a Sage student, you're always a Sage student. You're now a Sage grown up. So let's look at this syllabus. How can we break it down and really kind of have that continued support, and the continued support just for families too. So right now we're focused on the school, but we very much want to eventually, I mean, that's one of the biggest thing is so many people are like, can you do community outreach? Can you come and speak here, there, and everywhere? And it's like, it's really just Jessica and I, and we're trying to open a school. So not right now, but eventually. But it has been great that they've wanted that. And people are like, when are you going to go to lower grades? And we're like, well, we're not ready for that either. So just all those things. But yeah, that's kind of where we are.
I don't think it's going to take 20 to 30 years to get there.
No,
I
no.
mean, the idea here is like, my version of what you're describing was CTY, right? Center for Talented Youth. And like reconnecting to that as an adult in this space. I mean, there are so many alumni groups and meetups and like listservs and group chats. And it's like CTY has like job placement services now. And it's just like you never really left. You graduated, but you didn't have to leave.
And we want that.
Because like this, it's so much more than a school, right? It's a community, it's a place. And that to me has always been the like sort of the platonic ideal of these programs, because we're not just educating kids. It's not just calculus. It's about let me be the crucible for you to become the person you need to be. And that doesn't end when you turn 18. I put a cap and gown on your head and send you off to SMU or UT or Columbia or whatever, right? Like the coolest thing, and Jake, we experienced this a little bit at Grayson as well, is like when you create a space that matters, it has its own gravity. And it pulls people who are also true believers to the mission, because there are a lot of undiagnosed or late diagnosed neurodivergent people out there going, man, I wish I had that as a kid, but I can't go back and help 11-year-old me. I can help this 11-year-old who's in front of me right now in 2025. The beacons are lit. Gondor is calling for aid. People are going to come running.
You're so right. I mean, it goes back to kind of your traditional school's kind of like a sausage maker, right? You get them in, you get them out, and it's done. And already without without having a building, like without having a school year under our belt, people are like, so when can I volunteer? When can I? It's just that's the piece that I don't think Jessica and I realized is that, again, I mean, just even Dr. Matt, are the advisory board, like the people on our advisory board, you included, like I'm in awe. Like these are my heroes, right? These are like I look at the people on our advisory board and I'm like, oh my God, like I have the people that I like get giddy around, like, oh my gosh. And I'm such a nerd, it's like at CEC or something, like when you see like your favorite, researcher or something, and it's like somehow have been that beacon or that like thing that keeps pulling people in. And it's a good point to be at where we're like, give us a couple months, like let us, get going, and then we can kind of really figure it out. And we're starting super small. I truly, just to be transparent, I think we will open in August with about 10 to 12 students. I think we will probably end, based on just everybody we've talked to and everything that I know about private schools and these kids, with high teens, maybe close to 20. That's another thing too. We're not trying to be that sausage machine by any stretch of the imagination. And we're not trying to have hundreds of kids. We want the right kids that are part of that community, who want to be part of the community. I had a meeting yesterday with a family whose student is neurodiverse, and they thought everything was around neurodiverse, but then disclosed some trauma. And so, as going through some trauma therapy and some things like that, and they said, well, the student starting obviously is not going to be able to start right at the beginning of the school year. Fine. But like, will that be an issue, him coming into like a large class and not know? I'm like, whoa. First of all, grades, yes, parents like to know my kid's in 7th grade, my kid's in 8th grade, and the state likes to know that too. But because our students are mixed and they're based on kind of where they are socially, emotionally, academically, like, it's a situation where we want to get it right the first time, and I want a small number. I mean, eventually we want maybe 100 kids. That's not our mission. That's not, by all means, like, the statistics. They say 6 to 8%, but realistically, is that true? I met a grown student, a college level student, that reached out for some executive functioning help. And he said, well, I don't have any neurodiversities, but I was always in gifted. And I said, well, I haven't really met too many gifted kids that don't have some neurodiversity. And so the more I talked to him, I said, I'm not a diagnostician. I can't diagnose you, but I've been doing this a long time, and you may want to look for an evaluation, because there are some things that I think could really help you. So it's just interesting to kind of all these different people coming from kind of all these angles. And I mean, even at a national level, like, I mean, you're not in Dallas by any means, but like, so much support from there. Or like, the National Association of Gifted Children has been great. Sang's been great. We kind of have people all over the place. And so it already, to me, feels like a community. We're just missing the students and the families, which are, again, I love adults, but I definitely thrive on students. So, that's going to be when I need my wine and I'm happy.
And I love that both of those things are true. So, you've got our support as well. And we can't wait to be there along and watch you guys grow. And Jake will be teaching his how to play Stairway to Heaven on instruments you build in your garage, which will be super fun for all of us. Now, before this turns into the unabridged version of Lord of the Rings, we should probably start moving towards our wrap-up sections, though I have a feeling, Mandy, this is not the last time we're going to talk. So we can already start planning for part 2.
And I can talk for days about anything.
It's a glorious thing. So we're each going to ask our wrap-up questions. I'll start us out. Mandy, if you could have any superhero on speed dial, who would it be and why?
Gosh, that's a tough one.
I asked the hard-hitting questions.
I mean, I want to go with like Wonder Woman, because she's like the only female-ish one, but at the same time, that's like a given. Oh, gosh, I can't.
You can create one.
I can create one. Oh, I want to be able to know. I want to read minds. I want to know the why. Like, why, or what? Why are they saying what they're saying? Because there's always a why. There's always a reason behind what comes out. I don't know if that's a current superhero or not, but I want that to be.
It's like Jean Grey, almost.
I was like Jean Grey.
Yeah, I want to be Jean Grey. Oh yeah, totally.
I was gonna say like Charles Xavier, but figured Charles Xavier or Jean Grey if you're going more for like a woman one.
Yeah, I want. Yeah. Jean Grey for sure. Like, just there's so many times where I'm like, there's more to this, and I don't know what it is. But if I knew what it was, I feel like I could, I don't know, figure out more. So yeah, definitely a Jean Grey. And something that has multiple hands so I can have like multiple fidgets. Because like I'm like sitting here. I mean, like I don't know how many different fidgets. I only have two hands, and I really love my fidgets.
The good news is for Jean Grey, she can also control things. So you wouldn't even need extra hands. You could just have a bunch of fidgets around
Well,
you.
that'll be needed in the future. Absolutely.
I love Jean Grey. Before I even get to my question, I do want to just mention that like one thing that is really exciting for me about your school and from what you've been talking about is that it goes back to like authentic educational theory where it's not just like, oh, everything is from the 1900s and on. It's like you're connecting back to people like Michel de Montaigne, who's like my personal favorite from like the 1500s, and like Rousseau from like the 1700s, where it's like these are more authentic ways of learning where it's let's follow the kid or the student and like what they're interested in and let's be a guide for them and let's build that community for them rather than just sit in the chair, here's a bunch of stuff we need to feed you. Okay, how do you get that stuff learned? How do you get an A on the test? Like I love that personally. And especially that you said that grades don't matter because I've said that before in classes and I've had kids like actually start crying because they're like, how do grades not matter? Like I need an A. How am I gonna know what's happening? So like I just wanted to put that out there that like I deeply appreciate that from you.
Thank you. No, I love, yeah. No, I actually, again, in my previous history, students would want to, come up and see their grades. And I'd be like, no, you can't, like, you can't see them. And they'd be like, but why not? I have to see my grades. And I'm like, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know I have to do it because the school makes me do it. If you want to know what I think you should work on and what I think you're amazing at, I can tell you those things.
And like that's so much more important.
Yeah.
So much more important, like infinitely more important.
And I think another thing, and this is just a Mandi theory, this is not a research theory. I mean, I don't know, somebody may, I think for so many of these students, and I'm saying these students, I think it's even broader than just the students we're talking about. So much is dependent on like, you're so smart. Oh, we're so proud of you. You're so smart. You're so great at this. You're so awesome. And it's so black or white that again, when you kind of get into that neurodivergent mind that is so rigid that almost becomes like imprinted. And this is your area, Matt, with the brain, but it becomes so imprinted. That's your like quality of person.
Yeah.
Like if you're not smart, then you're not worth it. Like you're not worth being. And smart can mean a lot of different things. There's a student that interviewed with us and said, well, I'm not taking any art classes. And I said, well, that's not really an option. Our art is different. So it's not going to be your traditional. He said, but I'm horrible at art. I don't want to take any art classes. And I said, well, that again is not an option. But the great part about it is the reason we're doing it and we're doing so many different things is you get to decide, do I like this or do I not like this? It's not tied to a grade. It's tied to, is this a hobby that I'd like to have later in life? Is this something that I'd like to learn more about? Or is this truly something that I don't like and I never want to do again? And if that's the case, that's fine. That is as much learning as anything else. This has been like a new click for me recently, just meeting a couple of these really highly intelligent kids. Like they're in sixth grade and they want to know what the grading scale is and things. And I'm like, no, like how smart are the other kids going to be in my class? Like things like that. I'm like, that's not the point. Remove that. Like, I don't know how to remove it. It'll take time, but that's been a new aha moment that's been like a sad thing.
And those will be things that, like, as you build a culture, you'll start reshaping that, right? I mean, kids can only be exposed to what the monoculture is. And the monoculture has been very compete, grade, only one room for the top. There's only one valedictorian, right? Like me. Yeah, so you're going to have to deprogram a lot of these kids. All right. Now, we are unfortunately running short on time. So, Jake, jump in, bud. Ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Yes. What's your favorite word and why?
Ooh, my favorite word and why. You guys are like killing it with the questions today. I'll tell you a word I've been using a lot. I don't know if it's my favorite word, but pivot. It's my current, everything is pivot. We've got to pivot. I just think it's opening a school. Like you got to be like, okay, let's pivot. That's not going to work. But it's funny. I was with one of my one-on-one students yesterday who should be at our school, but that's a whole other thing. We were just doing something. It was going nowhere. And I was like, okay, pivot, let's pivot. And she stood up and literally pivoted. And I was like, so concrete. I was like, I loved your pivot. That was amazing. But let's sit back down.
Solid pivot.
What I mean by pivot is we're going to move from algebra to grammar. So I don't know. It's my favorite word. It's just a currently very highly used in multiple situations word that I think I'm going to need and to like have a lot of to say a lot in the next year.
Love it. All right. So we've got this incredible school. So Mandi, how can people find out more about your school? Where should they look into it? If they're in the greater Dallas area, how should they apply? Like, how do they learn more?
Yeah. So our website is probably the easiest way. SageSchoolDallas.org is the website. Everything is there from admissions to just there's sample schedules. If you want to see just what a sample schedule would be like for a student, there's descriptions of a kind of our inquiry based, what we're using for social emotional learning right now. There's kind of just everything that we can put on there is on there. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're on all of the social media platforms. We keep that pretty up to date. But yeah, for those that are in the DFW, our physical location is Spring Valley and Midway. So it's very centralized, which has been a positive thing as well. We hope to be fully moved in with our occupancy by July 1st. So we're going to do lots of open houses and all those things. But before that, even if you are even interested in just meeting us or anything, do not quote me on this, but I believe it's May 28th. We're doing like an ice cream meetup. That's on our website. Then we're doing just a meetup on June 10th in East Dallas at Middle Ground Coffee. And again, all that's on our website and socials, but we're trying to get out there. We're happy. I drive all over DFW, so I'm happy to meet with parents, with students, with therapists, with advocates, with anything and everybody that wants to meet. That's what I'm here for at the current time. So
we love it. Well, lots of great stuff out there, and I'm sure that you'll be seeing the NDC family visit at some point.
Oh, you're not going to get a choice. You're coming.
If you insist. So we'll be keeping a close eye on everything you do. But that'll wrap up this episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. For all of us here, I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski. Thank you for showing up and learning with us and trusting us with your time. Go out there and be your most authentic self. If the world doesn't work for you, build a new world, and we will happily join you there. For Mandi and Jake, thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nerding Out on Neurodiversity is brought to you by Dr. Matt Zakreski and the team at the Neurodiversity Collective. To learn more about the Neurodiversity Collective or to be a guest on the podcast, please visit our website at www.theneurodiversitycollective.com/podcast. Audio and production by Jake Noonan. Show your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends about us. Our Instagram and social media handles are at #NoonPodcast, NOON podcast. Your support is appreciated and keeps us going. All discussions presented on this podcast are strictly for informational purposes, awareness, and understanding. The advice presented is not and should not be considered to be therapeutic in nature. If you have any mental health questions, please contact your provider. All rights reserved.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.